how to upload non-realtor forms and set up additional and sign fields?
Through e-sign?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I will.
Yep.
Okay,
good.
See that live. Technology test to make sure that my browser is good, my Adobe Reader is good, all that's good. And then it opens up this important messages page. And again, I didn't dismiss this, so it would show again. You guys can see what happens when you log in directly. So they're going to talk about anything that's new that's changing or that has changed since you logged in last time, unless you hit this do not show this again and then it goes away. So right now there's some updates here for enhancements for the broker side of Form Simplicity. So that's a good feature there. There's your warning to Chrome users that Chrome 45 is no longer working. Here's your information regarding the Windows 10 upgraders, regarding the Edge browser that apparently is not making too many waves in the right direction these days. So they're going to have any new updates in there. So you can always take a look at that. Just close it out and it goes away. Yeah?
Okay, so we should not upgrade Windows 10? Or?
I'm not going to say don't upgrade to Windows 10, but just know that you're going to have to not use the default browser.
There's an option that browser?
Yeah, Internet Explorer 11 should still be in Windows 10. I'd recommend that before you upgrade, call the tech helpline and get their opinion. I'm by no means an expert when it comes to all things technology, especially when it comes to the Windows environment. As you can see, I'm quite Mac-centric. But that's me. Question?
So, probably a little behind the thing. So now there's a Windows 11 already?
I don't know about 11. I know 10 just came out.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's Internet Explorer 11. That's the browser for Windows 10. If you can't get any more computers.
It was the example that I told for the and asked their tech help laptop what I would need for criteria for my laptop.
Yeah.
And he gave me all the criteria, and he did say Windows 10.
That's fine.
So now I'm worried that I've got Windows 10 I shouldn't have it.
No, it would work. That's the thing. Okay. It's just the browser that you use. You just won't use the default Edge browser. You'll use the Internet Explorer browser. It's still in there in Windows 10. The problem was people that automatically switched, then their Internet Explorer icon just goes away. And then all they're left with is the Edge, and then nothing works for Form Simplicity. It's still there. You just have to get it back. So it's still in there. It's more not to scare you away from Windows 10, but just to know that when you do make the change, you'll have to make a couple of changes to get back to using this browser. Or you can still use Firefox on Internet Explorer, so that's available as well. You don't have to use the Edge browser. Okay. Let's see. Next here, let's take a look at. All right, I'm going to review uploading the non-Florida Realtors form to the active transaction, and then we'll do an e-sign here. So I'm going to go to my active transaction. Here is the listing we just created. And I'm opening up 123 Main Street listing. Okay, so now at the top of the screen here, we've got our exclusive right of sale. That's pretty much it for our seller. Now for our non-Realtors forms, again, if we want to add anything, just go at the bottom, add files, upload a file, then choose the file from your computer, and then just upload it to the screen. Does that make sense now? You had the question about uploading it? The non?
Yeah, I just want to see you walk through creating it.
Okay. All right, so now we've got our transaction here. So I want to send this off to e-sign. Well, even before I get to that, let's say I just wanted to go the path of least resistance and just email it to a customer. I'm going to check off the 2 checkboxes because that's the 2 forms that I want, or 2 documents I want to send. And I would go up here to the top right where it says select command. Then there's the drop down, and then here I can email it to the customer. So let me hit email, and I'm going to send it to Bobby Buyer here, and we'll see what Bobby gets. So here is the listing. Obviously, this would be your subject line, so put whatever you want in there. Please review and call with questions. Okay, now we're going to email that off. It's going to ask me next if I want to enter Bobby Buyer into one of my contacts. Now I'm going to go to Bobby's email. Go back here. And we'll refresh Bobby's email. Okay. So 11:11 a.m., there's the attachment there. This is what I just sent to Bobby Buyer. So please review and call me with questions. Then down here are the 2 documents that I sent him, the listing agreement and the Bank of America short sale agreement. Again, any non-Florida Realtors form would be separate. So the way these come out when you send it as an email is all of the forms at the top, everything that is editable, it'll take all of those forms and make one big file out of it. So if we have a 12-page purchase contract and 5 pages of Florida Realtors riders, it's going to create a 17-page document, and that will be the one on the right-hand side. All of the files that are at the bottom, those come as individual attachments. So it's one inconvenience with the email version of doing this. E-sign is totally different, but the email version will send them as separate documents. But everything at the top is one document. Everything at the bottom will come as separate attachments. Does that make sense to everybody, what I'm saying? Yeah? Okay. The other thing that you see in here is right at the top here, it says to send me files. Simply send them as attachments to this email address. This is a really unique thing. Every single transaction in Form Simplicity has its own unique email address. So if your customer wants to email you a document back, let's say they're going to scan it and attach it and email it back to you. Well, if they do that, you can forward it to that email address, and that uploads it right to your transaction in Form Simplicity. It's already done. So if you have anything you get that's part of that transaction, you can forward it to that email address for this transaction. You can keep all of your files in Form Simplicity. Every document that is part of that transaction, you can upload it back to your transactions folder using that unique email address. Every transaction has its own.
Where do you find that?
It's in the email that you send. Then also when you go back here, right at the top of your transaction, you see right here? That's the unique email address for every single transaction. So there's tons of really cool little tools that are inside here that you just got to start using them, and you'll start finding them. Okay, so that's the email there. Let me go back here. Okay. And then if you want to print it out, you just print it out. That's easy as doing the Dropbox and hitting print and print it. If you want to delete the transaction, you can delete it from here as well. Has anybody ever accidentally deleted a transaction? I have.
I've deleted
Yeah. I've deleted the transaction because it's just down here at the bottom. It's in blue. It's not in red. And sometimes we move pretty quickly. And here, up here again, it's just in blue. Delete the transaction.
Can you retrieve it back?
Almost.
Oh.
Well, let me say mostly yes. If you delete this transaction, as soon as you hit delete, it's going to bring up a big red box and say, "You're sure you want to delete it?" And you're going to hit yes again. That's just what you're going to do. And then you're going to realize that was a big red box. I probably should have read those words before I hit OK. What was those words? Oh my God, that was my whole transaction. You have to call the tech helpline. For up to a week, they can retrieve it. You can't do it on your own. It's nowhere in your system. But if you call the tech helpline, they can get it back as long as you call within a week. So if it happens,
like a cloud thing.
they do. They store it back on their server for 7 days. After 7 days, it's gone. But if you hit the button and then you hit it again, and then you say, "Why did I hit that button twice?" Call the tech helpline. Okay, so next here, we can go to e-sign. Now we got these two documents that we're going to e-sign. Again, any number of documents can be e-signed the same way. So I'm going to hit e-sign here. Now from here, there's two options. I can go to next here, and that's going to automatically include the parties that are participants in the e-sign transaction. Earlier, when I set up the Contents tab and I put in Bobby and Bonnie separately and an email address separately previously, well, that was already setting up their information for e-sign later. So that's where I'm going to use the next button. Or I can just hit Create Session. Ultimately, it's going to do the same thing. I'll have to create them separately there. But here, I'm going to just hit Next. I have to select some forms here. Let's go back and select our forms. And next. Okay. Now, who do I want to be a part of this session? Well, do I want myself to be a part of the signer here? Maybe, maybe not. So maybe I will include myself as a signer. Nah, I'm going to just do Bobby and Bonnie for now. You'll see this. It's the same thing for you to sign it as this Bonnie and Bobby to sign it. The FHA addendum that typically the agent has to sign, this would be a good option for you to sign it as e-sign as well. If you're doing this on your computer, as soon as you finish and send off the e-sign, and you're a signer, the very next window that's going to pop up is now your e-signing session. So you won't even leave your computer, or you won't open up an email. It'll just go right into that. But you can put yourself in as a signer or the other agent if they want as well. All right, let's go ahead and create new session. Now, this takes just a little bit of time here, because what it's doing now is taking all of the documents themselves, it's flattening the file, basically taking all the information that was part of the PDF, creating it, basically pasting it to that PDF and moving it to a whole new website that does the e-sign. The e-sign is not actually Form Simplicity. It's a different company called Go Paperless. You see it all the way down here in the bottom left-hand corner. They're merged together. It's a joint venture between the two. Form Simplicity has hired Go Paperless to do the e-sign portion of it. So that's why there's some things that are available through the e-sign that you can't get through Form Simplicity. So this is the main screen here. So this is your starting session. Transaction name, it's going to pull that over from Form Simplicity. You can change it if you want to, but it'll be whatever the transaction name is. Then you're going to give it a subject. This ultimately is going to send an email to the customer at the end, so this will be the subject line for your customer. So put something customer friendly in there. Let's say listing agreement for e-sign. And then maybe something nice. Here is the listing. All right, please review and sign using the on-screen instructions. The instructions are really easy, and we'll see that from the customer's perspective. As long as they read, it's so easy. If they don't read, it's mostly intuitive, but if they just read words, it goes like a dream. Okay. Over on the right-hand side of the e-signing screen here, there's a couple things that I want to point out. The signer sequence, it defaults always to this. Send to one signer at a time and in order. The second option is send to all signers at once. This is always my preference when we're dealing with husband and wife. Have you been in this situation if you've ever done any sort of e-signing in the past? If you use the default, send to one signer at a time. Let's say you send it to him first. If him doesn't open him's email, then she's never going to get it. And she's going to be telling him, well, I didn't get it. I didn't get the email. Well, I didn't get it either. Even though it's on his computer, he never opened it. He never completed it, so she's never going to get it. So if we send it in order, it's going to go who's on top, then to the next person, then down the list. I send it to everybody all at once. Everybody does their part. Once everybody's done, then everybody's going to get a second email saying everybody's done. Here's the completed session. They all have completed copies. This is the most easy way.
So you can't use the default browser to do that. Have to use the other browser.
No, right here. Just change the button. Click the second button down. But unfortunately, you can't change it to default to send to all. I've made that argument. I've lost that argument in form of simplicity. So, but this is a big change. I always change it to send to all signers at once. This way, everybody gets the email at the same time. All right. If you're going to include yourself as a signer, you can add yourself in now as well. If you forgot to add yourself previously, you can add yourself again. Allow the signers to delegate another person. This is a tool that allows you to send the e-sign to one of your customers. Then they can forward that email to somebody else to sign on their behalf, almost like a mini power of attorney. So, do you want to use this? It's up to you. The power is there, but it's up to you if you want to use it. So maybe they have the son-in-law who's the attorney that wants to review the contract, so you can do that as well.
Excuse me, are you saying that they can forward it unless you click that?
Unless you click that, yes. Because this is going to use their email address as a way to authenticate who they are. So if you allow them to delegate it, they'll authenticate who they are, and then it'll allow them to delegate their signing portion to somebody else. So be cautious with that. That's what I would say. Rather than just automatically including that, I generally want a reason why they need to delegate somebody else to sign on their behalf. Ultimately, when we send a document over fax and they fax it back to us, do we know that it was that person that signed it? I've heard this from more than one. I'm going to pick on the ladies because y'all are usually the problem here. Maybe said this statement, I signed my husband's name better than he does. Yeah. So do we know that that's happening? I don't know that that's happening. So that's the same reason that we have the delegation portion here as well.
They print it out before they sign function.
They can, yeah, I think they can print it out.
So they can just carry their attorney.
Of course. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I can also send a CC final documents as an attachment to somebody else, too. So I can add them, the attorney, for instance, as a carbon copy here as well. Yep. Okay, so we've got our main screen set up here. I'm sending it to all signers at once. Now we get to the invite signers window, but we've already invited them because we did that back in form simplicity. We already put in their email addresses. We already put in their names. If I didn't do that, now would be the time to add them. And it's just as simple as hitting add a signer here and then typing in their name. Let me show you how that works. So we'll add a signer, and let's say Bobby with a Y. Put his email address in here. And then authentication. Now, I have this defaulted to none, which means that it's just going to use whatever their email address is. So it's going to go to their email. If they get that email and they get the link that's in the email, well, then that's them. As far as the authentication is going to go. We can use some other tools here, though, under authentication. There's KBA. KBA stands for Knowledge-Based Authentication. Have you ever gone to a website that asks you to verify who you are by asking you questions? This is your life game. So in 1987, you had a car. Was your car this, or this? One of those cars you did have. It will say your monthly payment for your car was between this and this, or this and this, or this and this. You have to play that game. Well, that's what the knowledge-based authentication does. It uses the data that the credit reporting agencies have on that individual person to identify them. Do you want to use that? Do you need that level of authentication? Probably not, but it's there if you need it. If you do the KBA, I do believe there's a charge. I don't know. I've never used it. I think it's like $3 per transaction. But there is a charge for that one. All the rest, there's not. Password. Here, you can just create a password for this transaction. So it's a double layer of authentication. One, they have to get the email, so they have to click on the link from their email. Then number two, you would call them and tell them your password is whatever the password is. And then they would type in that password. So that works too. The other thing that you can use is the SMS text. This is very cool. You can put in their mobile number here, Now, once they get to the e-signing session, you know what? Let me change. Yeah, I'm going to change one of these here. Let me skip out this one. I'm going to change Bobby here to the SMS text so you can see what Bobby gets. And I'll put my phone number in there. 212. Because when Bobby gets ready to sign here, he'll have to click on the authentication, and it'll send a text message to Bobby's phone. Then Bobby will have to type in whatever code pops up on there. It's just another level of authentication.
You determine the code?
You the SMS code, no. The password you create yourself if you want to create a password. Okay. Now we've got Bobby and Bonnie in here. Well, I guess Bonnie's getting the text. Doesn't matter. So Bobby and Bonnie are our signers. They're already in here. Now, if I was going to move them around, so if I was sending it to one person at a time, and I wanted to send it to Bobby first, I would check off Bobby, and I would click Move Up. Now it's going to move Bobby to the top, Bonnie to the bottom. In this case, it doesn't matter. I'm sending to all signers at once. All right, I'm going to click Next here. Now it's going to go to the Upload the Documents session. It's automatically pulling in everything I have from Form Simplicity. So there's nothing else that I need to do from that side. And I'm going to run out for 1 second. I'm going to get my computer's on low power. Definitely want to plug it.
No, we never belonged to the board. We never tried to be on the last until we don't do this thing at all. But I'm a broker. There's only two of us.
Oh, shit. All right, now we're back. Okay, so this moves right into the template stage here. So we know we got two signers. We got Bobby, we got Bonnie. Where are Bobby and Bonnie signing? So we've got seller number 1 and seller number 2, agent 1 and broker 1. Now, I didn't bring myself or the broker into this transaction for signing, so I'm going to leave those blank. But seller 1, let's put Bonnie there. Seller 2, let's put Bobby. Now, over here, you see this little link here. It says Apply Signers to All Templates. All of the Florida Realtors form, everything that's in that forms library already has its own template. So the e-sign knows where all the signers portions are going to be for sellers, for buyers, where they're going to initial, where they're going to sign, where they're going to date. All that's automatically in there. Now, if we had more than one Florida Realtors form, there would be another. Here it says template title, exclusive right of sale listing agreement. Then if we had the seller's disclosure statement, that would be under here with the spots for the seller to sign there. So if I click the Apply Signers to All Templates, it'll put Bonnie as seller number 1 and Bobby as seller number 2 on every single document. I don't have to do it manually. So in this case, I only have one, so I don't have to do anything else there.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you originally changed Bobby's name to a Y, it doesn't continue to change it because I did that.
I never did change it
Yeah,
I did, but I never changed it on the Contents tab for Bobby as the actual signer Bobby. That was the contract name Bobby, but not the signing name Bobby. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it did it everywhere.
It'll change it on every document,
Right.
but it won't change Bobby's name as I had it into the e-sign portion. That I would have to do.
Oh.
Yeah. The e-sign is that part is a little bit separate. But every other document that would have come up would have changed Bobby to B-O-B-B-Y. So every writer would say Bobby with a Y.
So you just have to be careful when you get to e-sign.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, and more than likely, you're going to know if you actually have the name spelled wrong to go back and change it. So where those changes happen, for the most part, we're changing terms of the contract, address changes, things like that. So the Bobby with a Y, does have to be matched. So if it's a name change, you'll have to do that separately.
You can do it there.
I couldn't do it here, but I can go back to the last window and change it from Bobby as in my address book. Yeah, I can change him there. When I went back and changed the authentication for Bonnie and had her get authenticated with the SMS text message, in that same window there, I could have changed her name. I could have changed the spelling there. That's just editing who you have in your address book in the e-sign as well. So you have address books in Form Simplicity. You also have address books in the e-sign. So if you're somebody you send over and over again, you'll probably have them in your address book. You change it there.
You get to this point, you realize, oh crap, I forgot to change it.
Mm-hmm.
You go back.
Yep. So what I could do is just go ahead and cancel this window here.
Not too much work.
Yep. Not a big deal. Cancel. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my invite signers. And we want to change Bobby here. Go to Actions. And change Bobby to Bobby with a Y. Yep. I went right back here to invite signers. Yep. And then over on the right-hand side with the pencil and the paper is my symbol for edit the signer. Click on that. That's going to bring up Bobby's information. And from here, I can change his name. There is the option you see on here as well where it says signing in person. So if the customer is actually with you, you can do the e-sign that way. Why would you want to do that? Doesn't make any sense. You might want to do that if maybe the buyer is a couple. One half the couple is with you, the other half the couple is not with you. Do the whole signing session as an e-sign session. This way, whoever's with you is going to sign their portion right now. The next person is going to get their portion. They're going to sign it by email. And then the whole document's already done in one shot. Otherwise, you would have to sign with the person in person and then scan everything. Here's another option, too, using the same e-sign program. Let's say we did have a paper contract signed by one partner, and we want to e-sign to the second partner, but we have a paper document. We don't have an Informed Simplicity now. We printed it and we signed it. Easy. All we're going to do now is take that paper document, scan it, email it to ourselves, and then upload it here through e-sign. You could upload it here through e-sign, or we could have gone back in Informed Simplicity. The bottom files, the upload a file. So remember, we can upload any file there. So just upload it right from there, or we could have forwarded that email scan to that transaction. We would have gotten in there too. Then check off that box and hit e-sign. The only difference, and the only thing that will be even a minor inconvenience, is since now we have a scanned copy of that contract, there's no template. So everywhere there's going to be a signature, we'll have to mark that signature. That's very easy. So it's almost as easy if you were in person. I don't know if you do this, but when I'm in person, I'll typically get a highlighter and highlight every spot that person is going to sign. So it's basically the exact same thing for the e-sign session. Instead of a highlighter, I'm just dragging down. Initial, 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 sign, 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 date, date, date. And then when it gets to them, everything's already. All right, so we got our two buyers. We're going to go forward again here. We're just going to hit next. Upload our session documents. maybe we get to this screen and we say, oh my God, I forgot to get that document that was in my email. So we can upload documents from here as well. So add files. Now you can add files from these locations. Your local disk, that's your computer. So if it's on your computer, you can get it from there. If you use Dropbox, OneBox, or Box cloud storage, you can get it from those cloud storage locations as well. So this is, even if it's not in Form Simplicity, you never uploaded it there, you can still upload it right to the e-sign session. iCloud's not in here yet. Yeah.
But they have their own storage.
iCloud?
The Simplicity, like Paul, you said within a week to get something done.
That's
deleted from.
That's on the Form Simplicity side, yeah. Not on the e-sign side, though. Okay, so now we've got our 2 documents, and we're going to hit Next. The screen's going to come up here, and then usually give it a second. And normally this top portion here doesn't populate right away. Wait about 3 seconds, then it pops, and then all the colors show up. Now you know it's going to be ready to be marked up. Now, the first document we're looking at is the listing agreement. So this is a Florida Realtors form. This has a template, which means every spot for the sellers to sign is already marked up for us. So we can scroll down and see that that's been done. It has not been done. Why has it not been done?
I think you didn't check the boxes on the left before you said next.
Let's go back. No, there's no template attached. Why is there no template attached? It might be because, oh, this is why. When I went back and changed the name and I canceled out, they canceled out all my templates.
Oh,
yeah.
This is kind of how my sessions with this program
go,
right in.
Yeah. Yep.
Very simple. Continuing the truth of God.
Yep.
Note to self, do not cancel.
Yeah, don't cancel. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go back here again, go back to e-sign, hit next. We're going to keep Bobby in his old name. Yeah, when I deleted out that session, I deleted out all the templates, which is the process that we want. Now you know, don't hit cancel. Okay, listing agreement. All right, you know that says to please review something nice and follow the on-screen instructions. Bobby and Bonnie. All right, here is Bonnie. Nope, Bonnie's not the agent. Bonnie is the seller number 1. Bobby is the seller number 2. And next. This window always comes up. All this is saying is that there are signers who we didn't add in there. That means I didn't put anybody in there for broker. I didn't put anybody in there for agent. It's not a mistake. It's intentional, but it's always going to pop up. Just hit OK. Also, I didn't change the authentication for Bobby to go back to the SMS text message. So that won't happen when we send Bobby for signatures. All right, so now this is the next screen here. This is what we were missing previously. See where it says template right here? This is the template from Florida Realtors. There's 4 pages, and there's 16 signing locations. That means there's 8 spots for each seller here, 2 sellers.
So you don't always have to hit sequence on the left again as you go forward. Well, I'm happy to pick up whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay, now we should have all of our templates in there, and there they are. So it's Bobby and Bonnie. Now, they both have the exact same initials, so it looks like the same one, but trust me, they would be different initials. Now, if we want to have something else for them, maybe we're going to add in a spot where I want Bobby or Bonnie, one of the two, I have to choose who's going to make checks and check boxes. But let's say I want them to decide cash or conventional for financing. I can grab the checkbox up here at the top. Whoops. Drag it down and put the checkbox there. Grab another one down here, put it next to conventional. One down here, put it next to VA. And one down here next to FHA. They can decide which ones they want to select. Where it matters is, you see up here in the upper left-hand corner, is I've got Bonnie up here selected. That means Bonnie is controlling the checkboxes. So Bobby has no control over what Bonnie checks. So somebody's got to have control over the checkbox. I've decided to give it to Bonnie. Now, what I can also do is, next to each one of these checkboxes is a little gray circle that's a little gear wheel. That's a settings wheel. Now that says this checkbox is optional, or I can make this a required checkbox that they can't move forward unless they check this checkbox. Or I can make it conditional if I want to make life difficult on myself. I can make it conditional. That means if this box, then not that box. If this and that box, then not this box. Optional. Optional is very, very easy. So you tell them check the checkbox. All right, so that's the checkboxes there. You have form fields. Let's say you wanted to have the buyer put in.
I've got a real quick question.
Sure.
Could you drag a second checkbox down there in some field if you wanted both parties to initial it?
I could, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if I wanted Bonnie and Bobby both,
Right.
the only difference I would do is
like
I would,
a price change field or something.
for price change or for an initials, I'll show you how to do that too.
Okay.
All I would do is, though, if I want Bobby to sign it, is I would switch to Bobby in the signer, change to Bobby, then bring a new checkbox down for Bobby.
Okay.
And it won't banish the other one.
Nope.
The other one. Save.
One's for Bonnie,
Rated.
one's for Bob, one's for Bobby. Now the form field here is anytime you want them to fill out information. So maybe it's you want them to put in the personal property that's included in the sale. So there's no default language or anything that they have to specifically put in there. They can leave it blank if they want to. But if you have a field that you want them to enter information on their own, you would use the form field for that. Initials, obviously, is their initials, date and time. You can probably figure out what that one is. And signature is signature. The radio button is just a dot. That's all the radio button is. It's pretty much kind of like a check mark. So I selected too many, hit that. But instead of a check mark, we just give a dot. That's a radio button. I rarely ever use those. Okay, let's look at the markup tool. This was a question you had regarding one of the clauses the customer didn't like. So over here on the right-hand side, it says markup, and there's a green button there. So open that up, and this opens up your markup tool. Now from here, let's just start with a highlight. So I can highlight something to make sure that they see it. And I can drag it out, that this is now highlighted. I'm not going to make any changes, but it's going to be highlighted so that they see this clearly. If I want to underline something, same thing here. Now it's an underline. Now they made the strike through. It's the same thing as an underline, but it's red. Now you would just put that where you want it to be, and you can stretch it out however you want it to be. Add text. So let's say we wanted to put in the price was wrong here. Let's say we're going to take our price, we're going to change that, no longer $350. We're going to change the price to $450. So take text, drag it over here, and put $450. So now we've changed the price to $450,000. I'm going to get rid of this line because I think it's confusing people. Okay. All right, so now we change the price, and we're going to want them to make sure they initial that change as well. So since I want a separate special thing for that, I'm going to take Bobby as a signer. I'm going to have Bobby initial right there, that price change. And I'm going to switch up here at the top left, switch to Bonnie, bring Bonnie down, and have her initial that she saw that price change as well. So we can use this when we're doing counter offers.
markup field always open?
I opened it by hitting the green button right there. Yep. Now, I'll tell you that once you mark up the document and you finalize it, it's locked. You can't go back later on and delete it off there. So it's as if, now right now it's still okay, but once I move to the next document, it will give me a warning sign saying this is going to be permanent changes. Are you sure you want these markups to be permanent? It's just as if you took a hard copy document and wrote a line on it. The line's on it now. So before you switch to the next document, make sure that the markups are what you want, because you'll have to do it all over again.
And if they still want to come back and counter, you can go back in and mark it again instead of initial box.
Sure, you can do another strike through. Nope, you can do this again, strike through it again. Yep. Okay, so then you see all the spots for the customer to sign. If you don't want them to sign a place, I can take their signatures off here. I don't want them to sign there, don't want them to sign there. I don't want them to sign automatic arbitrations. If I want to add in additional clauses, I can add in additional clauses here, just using my add text tool from the markup side. So you see down here, we've got the signing spot for Bonnie, signing for Bobby, date and date. All right, now we get down here to our non-Florida Realtors form. Question? Yep.
Removing the highlighted areas for the initial.
Yep. To remove a spot to sign, anytime I hover over any spot where there's a signature, date, initials, anything like that, on the just to the right of it, you see a little red X, and then the gear wheel. The red X is the delete, gear wheel is additional options. All right, continue scrolling down. So now, let's say we want the address here to be on the document itself. So often, I can do two things. One, I can grab the form field, and I can put this all the way across. Now that means, Bonnie, you got to fill out this form. Or, since it's just the address, I can do that. I'll add the text field, and I'll just do it myself. So 123 Main Street. Ooh. Don't hit tab. Fort St. Lucie. I could do this with 4 different form fields, or I can just space it over. That works as well too. Good. So I've got the address in there. They don't have to fill it out. Purchase and contract agreement dated. So this will be whatever today's date is. In fact, I'll just put the date and time there, because it'll date stamp it whenever they sign it. All right, buyer's name. Again, I can use the form field and say type in your own name, or I can fill it in for them, either way. But for time's sake, I'm just going to put signatures here. So let's put Bonnie's signature there, Bonnie's date there. Then we'll move over to Bobby here. Bobby's signature and Bobby's date. Okay, now we're done with everything. We're going to hit next. The next screen is first our markups. They're going to be permanent if we hit next again here. So are we sure we want those markups? I'm sure. I'm going to hit OK. Now those markups are permanent. They can't be removed later. This is the review screen. This is to review everything that you've already done. So if you're marking up a lot of documents or adding signature lines, go through it, make sure you got enough signatures. Everything looks good here. Hit next again. One last chance to review the email you're sending to them. And then hit finish. And now it's going to send the document. So Bobby and Bonnie both are now have been invited. So you see here, this screen, Bobby and Bonnie are invited. We'll get emails, both Bobby and Bonnie. Now you as the agent are at your computer, you're here, and now you know that these were sent. You can keep hitting refresh on your computer, see if they opened it. And once they open it, it'll tell you pending. And then all the way down at the bottom gives you an itemized detail of what's happening between Bobby and Bonnie. When they get the document, if they open it, if they accept the terms for the e-signature, all that stuff there. So let's go to, who do we have here? Bonnie. Let's refresh Bonnie's email, and Bonnie's going to get an email from me. And there's Bonnie. Bonnie got an email from me just now, listing agreement. So Christopher Albanese has invited Bonnie, the buyer, to sign this listing agreement. Read this, review and sign. She's going to hit the green, review and sign. Now this is going to open up the e-sign session. So now we're all Bonnie now. Here's Bonnie's name, Bonnie's initials. Bonnie can change her name here if I spelled it wrong in the first place. But then she's going to choose a signature. She can choose a signature from here, or if she wants to draw her own signature with a mouse, she can do that. It looks terrible. I recommend she just choose one of these nice fancy ones. Now she has to go down to the bottom and hit I agree to the consumer disclosure. Don't worry about what it is, just agree. And then hit start. This is where most people go wrong. The big giant button that's in color says decline. The button you can barely see that it says start. So a lot of people hit the big green button and it cancels it out. So don't hit big green button in that case. Yep. If they go back to the link and open it again, yeah, it'll go right back into there. I generally do.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll usually call them once I've emailed it, saying I emailed it. Did you get it? Open your email now. Okay. I'll walk them through the first couple of steps. Are we writing multiple offers these days before we get one to stick? Once the buyer's been through this the first time, you'll get this contract back 5 minutes. They'll be in a meeting at the office, and you'll get it back. It's so fast once they get the hang of this, and it does not take long. They move really, really quick on it after that. Okay, so now what Bonnie has to do now is just hit the start button. It's as easy as that. And now we made Bonnie enter some information here. This is the form field. So she's going to enter washer and dryer are going to stay. Then next. We want her to initial the price change there. So she has to put her mouse over the initials and just hit the initials. And now, if you notice, it went from regular orange to the fancy handwriting BB for Bonnie. Then we're going to go to next. Here are the check boxes. So if Bonnie wants to check cash, she's going to check cash and hit next. Conventional and next. She doesn't want VA, no check mark. She's just going to hit next. Doesn't want VA, no check mark. She's just going to hit next. We made those optional so it'll allow her to go through it without checking that checkbox. So we want her to initial. So check and next. Check and next. Check her name. Next. Now she's going to sign. She's just going to click where her signature would go. Going to put in her signature. Going to hit next. Click where the date should be. Puts in the date. She hits next. Initials again. Next. Here's the additional addendum from Bank of America. We wanted her to date stamp that. We wanted her to sign here. And we wanted her to date stamp here. Bonnie's done. And she gets all fields are complete. Would you like to complete your signing session? Yes. Now she can download a copy of the session as it is with just her signature, or she can wait to get the full version. So Bonnie now is completed, and me as the agent, I'm going to get an email saying Bonnie has done her side. But if I look here, this is my agent screen here back on the e-sign session. So if I hit refresh again, I'm going to see now that Bonnie's completed here. And down at the bottom, signing completed by Bonnie Buyer. signature created and disclosure approved by Bonnie buyer. So those are the steps that Bonnie took to complete this. So we know Bonnie's done. All right, so now we need Bobby. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have Bobby I'm going to open up Bobby on my iPad. Okay. Now we're looking at my iPad. So Bobby's email. He's got an email from me. Click on that. So Bobby's got the same thing. He's going to click review and sign. Okay, open Chrome. Well, because I had to go to meetings on here, and it was
Notification.
yeah. All right, so now looks just like Bonnie's was on the computer, right? Except now we have Bobby. But Bobby has the unique ability here because Bobby now is on an iPad with a stylus. So Bobby can draw his signature. Now, actually, it wasn't giving me why. Now Bobby has his actual signature on there. He's going to go down to the bottom. Same thing. He's going to agree. And he's going to start. Same thing. He hits the start button. He's going to initial. Now if you notice this actual signature now instead of the automated signature. And hit next. Initials, and next, initials, next, initials, next, Bobby signs, date, initials, 2 spots, and we're done.
Can he use one of the preset ones if he would rather?
Sure can. Yep. Now it says, Bobby, you're done. Say yes. That's going to bring him to that same screen that Bonnie had, where she could download the attachment itself with what just Bobby signed, but they're both going to get an email with everything. Okay. Now, if you notice, Bobby just got an email saying that the signing session is complete, and then all signers are done. So Bobby can download everything from himself here. Now, if I refresh my main screen, I'm going to see on my screen as the agent, both buyers are complete. If I go back to Form Simplicity now, I'm going to go back to my active transaction here. And now at the bottom of this transaction, the two e-sign documents that I sent off for signature are now down here. So I've got 4 pages sent at the bottom with digital signatures. There's the buyer's disclosure with digital signatures and the certificate of authentication, all in my Form Simplicity file. So I'll just click on the contract, and here's the listing agreement with all the signatures. There's their certificate of authentication at the bottom there, so that'll line up with the other document, that's the COA. And from here, I can take this, I can print it out, or if I wanted to send it off to the listing agent or buyer's agent, whoever I'm sending this to, I can use the Form Simplicity tools and I can email it to that customer as well. So, the e-sign, huge benefit. So again, it doesn't have to be anything real estate related. Any document, you can upload it through the e-sign. You're just going to enter it through Form Simplicity. So So that's that. Question?
Said that when everybody's all done signing,
Yep.
copy goes back.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know that happens?
We will. We'll get an email from ourselves saying all parties have signed the session, and at the same time, everybody else is going to get the same email. So from here, we can download the document. Yes?
Is there a way to make it not as seamless, but I was just wondering if there's a way to change your default signing service like DocuSign?
Form Simplicity used to use DocuSign as their e-sign service, and there's still an ability to use it. It does still tie in. I don't know the specifics on it. I'd recommend you contact the Tech Helpline. It is possible, because if you look down here under the e-sign, all the way at the bottom down here, it says Use DocuSign. So I know the functionality is still in there. It's just not their regular preferred vendor anymore.
Probably not the other one. I think Adobe has.
No. DocuSign or e-sign only. Yeah, is already built into Form Simplicity. Yeah, there's tons of other e-sign programs out there that allow you to upload any document you want. They're all very, very similar. But what I have found, totally honestly, and I don't make any money off of Form Simplicity, is that the e-signs in Form Simplicity, it's $60 for the year or $59. DocuSign is a monthly service. Most of the other service companies are a monthly service that are more than $60 a year. And I don't think you'll get much more for that benefit. So, but there's tons of them out there. So I'm cheap. So if there's a cheaper way to do it, I'll find it. So before I upgraded to the $59 one, I tried every free version. I did a free version of DocuSign. I did a free version of HelloSign. For as robust of a program as it is, for $60 for the year, it's well worth it. Question? Authentication? Oh, how do they get on Form Simplicity? It's automatic. When you send it off for e-sign, once it comes back, it's going to give you this document here. So this is if maybe you're sending this now to a bank, and they want to make sure how was this authenticated. This is the document. It's going to record the IP address of the computers where it was signed. So it sort of has an electronic paper trail. And if you did any additional authentication like SMS text or knowledge-based authentication or password, that would all be listed on this document as well. Yeah. Most lenders are accepting the e-signs now. Most of the HUD vendors, if you're doing HUD sales, will accept them as well. Depends on exactly which HUD subsidiary you're dealing with. I think Oforio was yes for e-signature. The other one was no. But more and more banks these days are accepting the electronic signature. So this is the way forward, definitely. Not necessarily this program, but e-signature is definitely. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Well, thank you all for coming. Keep a look at our website, because we're going to do something similar to this, once a month. I think my next one might be like apps that are good for technology or real estate type of apps that we can do. So I think I'll do an app class next.